The UES Harmony drifted through the void, its gleaming hull adorned with symbols of peace from 100 human cultures. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's main viewport, watching the approaching alien vessel with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This was humanity's first contact with the Meridian Empire, a spacefaring civilization known for their strict adherence to protocol and their beautiful crystalline ships. "Status report," Chen called out, her eyes fixed on the approaching vessel that sparkled like a diamond in the starlight. Lieutenant Rodriguez, her tactical officer, responded without looking up from his console. "Their ship is maintaining distance at 10,000 kilometers. Energy signatures are consistent with peaceful approach protocols. However," he paused, frowning at his readings. "However," Chen turned to face him. "They're running active scans of our hull. Very detailed ones, more than necessary for standard identification." Chen nodded slowly. The Harmony was designed to look harmless, all smooth lines and obvious civilian markings. But underneath that peaceful exterior lay the most advanced defensive systems humanity had ever developed. Not that they advertised that fact. "Captain," Communications Officer Patel cut in, "we're receiving their formal greeting. But there's something odd about the encryption." Before Chen could respond, the ship's AI, Diana, spoke up. "Warning, detecting masked energy signatures. Their weapons are powered but shielded. They're trying to hide it." Chen's expression hardened. She'd seen this before, pirates and raiders masquerading as legitimate contacts. But this felt different. The ship was definitely Meridian, its crystalline structure unmistakable. Which meant, "This isn't a first contact," she said quietly. "It's a test." The realization hit her just as the alien vessel's disguised weapon ports snapped open. The Meridians weren't here to make peace. They wanted to see how humans would react under pressure. Would they panic? Beg? Try to run? "All hands, battle stations," Chen ordered calmly. "But do not, I repeat, do not power weapons." Her crew looked at her in confusion, but followed orders. They trusted her, even when her commands seemed counterintuitive. The alien ship fired a warning shot, a burst of energy that passed just over the Harmony's bow. A message followed immediately. "Human vessel, your species is deemed too volatile for unrestricted space travel. Submit to boarding and evaluation, or be destroyed." Chen smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. "Diana, initiate protocol Trojan horse. Rodriguez, prepare the gravity slings. Patel, send them our response. Text only." The message she sent was brief. "We accept your evaluation. Prepare to be impressed." The Meridian ship began to close distance, clearly expecting an easy submission. They didn't understand that humans had learned long ago that the best defense wasn't always a weapon. Sometimes it was making your enemies underestimate you. Sometimes it was hiding your true capabilities behind a facade of weakness. And sometimes it was turning your entire ship into a giant electromagnetic pulse generator disguised as a surrender. As the alien vessel drew closer, Chen gave the order that would change the course of human-Meridian relations forever. "Show them why they call us the Crazy Ones." The Harmony's peaceful exterior began to transform. Panels shifted, revealing not weapons, but dozens of gravity manipulators. The ship's decorative hull markings suddenly aligned, forming a complex array of electromagnetic conductors. Even the ship's name, written in gleaming letters along the hull, rearranged itself into a series of antennae. The Meridians, masters of protocol and proper warfare, were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their ability to think outside every box ever created. And Sarah Chen was about to teach them that first contact protocols worked a lot better when both sides were honest about their intentions. What happened next would be debated in Meridian military academies for decades to come, as they tried to understand how a supposedly peaceful human vessel had managed to disable their most advanced warship without firing a single traditional shot. But that was the thing about humans. They had a habit of redefining what was possible, one impossible victory at a time. The bridge of the UES Harmony hummed with concentrated energy as Captain Chen's plan unfolded. The Meridian warship, its crystalline structure gleaming with deadly purpose, had fallen perfectly into position. They still thought they were dealing with a helpless diplomatic vessel about to surrender. Gravitational array, charged to 90%, Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across his console. The Meridians are broadcasting boarding protocols. They're sending us instructions on how to properly submit to their authority. Chen suppressed a smile. Are they really giving us a manual on how to surrender? Complete with appendices and flowcharts, Captain. Diana, the ship's AI, spoke up. Their shield configurations are exactly as we predicted. They're using a standard crystalline defense matrix. Very efficient against conventional weapons. But they've never faced a ship like Harmony, Chen said softly. Paddle, send them our surrender acceptance. Make it especially flowery and bureaucratic. They'll appreciate that. As Paddle composed the message, Chen turned to her crew. What we're about to do will either start a war or prevent one. The Meridians think they're testing us. But we're about to show them why assuming humans are predictable is a dangerous mistake. The Meridian ship drew closer, its boarding shuttles preparing to launch. Their sensors were focused on the Harmony's obvious systems, weapons, engines, shield generators. They completely ignored the seemingly decorative patterns that covered the human vessel's hull. That was their second mistake. Their first had been assuming humans would build a diplomatic vessel without defense capabilities. Gravitational array at full charge, Rodriguez announced. Ready on your mark. Chen waited until the Meridian ship was perfectly positioned. Diana, initiate the electromagnetic pulse sequence. Rodriguez on my mark. Activate the gravity slings. Patel, get ready to broadcast on all frequencies. I want them to hear this. The Harmony's hull began to glow softly as electromagnetic energy coursed through the patterns that the Meridians had dismissed as artistic flourishes. The gravity slings, disguised as structural supports, oriented themselves with microscopic precision. Now, Chen ordered. The Harmony released its carefully prepared trap. The electromagnetic pulse, channeled through the hull's intricate patterns, struck the Meridian ship's crystalline structure. At the same instant, the gravity slings activated, creating controlled gravitational distortions that resonated with the crystal's natural frequency. The effect was devastating in its elegance. The Meridian ship's crystalline hull, designed to channel energy weapons harmlessly away, instead became a conductor for the combined electromagnetic and gravitational assault. Their shields, calibrated for conventional attacks, did nothing to stop the cascade of resonating energy that surged through their systems. Warning lights flashed across their beautiful vessel as system after system went dark. Their weapons powered down, their engines stuttered, and their communications fell silent. The mighty warship hung in space, temporarily transformed into the galaxy's largest paperweight. Direct hit, Rodriguez reported, unable to keep the awe from his voice. All their primary systems are offline. Secondary systems failing. They're completely disabled. Chen nodded, her expression serious despite their success. Paddle, open a channel. All frequencies, including their emergency bands. The communications officer complied, and Chen spoke clearly into the void. Meridian vessel, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Harmony. Your systems will reboot in approximately 10 minutes. No permanent damage has been done to your ship or crew. Consider this a demonstration of why testing unknown species can be hazardous to your operational status. She paused, then added with just a hint of satisfaction, we're still happy to establish diplomatic relations, by the way. But next time, let's skip the part where you try to take our ship. The bridge crew held their breath, waiting for the Meridian's response. They didn't have to wait long. A single text message came through on their emergency frequency. How did you do that? Chen's reply was simple. Humans have a saying, never judge a book by its cover. We have many more such sayings. which we'd be happy to share over peaceful negotiations. Your choice. As they waited for the Meridian ship to regain power, Chen reflected on the irony of the situation. The Meridians had wanted to evaluate humanity's readiness for space travel, but they'd failed to evaluate their own readiness to encounter humans. The universe was about to learn what Earth had known for millennia. Humans were at their most dangerous not when they were trying to be threatening, but when they were turning seemingly harmless things into unexpected advantages. As the Meridian warship systems slowly came back online, Captain Chen noticed something odd in the sensor readings. Diana had flagged an anomalous energy signature at the edge of their detection range, something that didn't match either human or Meridian profiles. Rodriguez, analyze that signature, Chen ordered. Something doesn't feel right. The tactical officer was already working on it. It's strange, Captain. The pattern suggests advanced cloaking technology, but there's an irregularity, almost like it's masking multiple smaller signatures instead of one large one. Before Chen could respond, a transmission came through from the Meridian vessel. Their captain appeared on screen. A tall, crystalline being whose faceted surface reflected the light in mesmerizing patterns. Despite their recent confrontation, Chen noticed an undercurrent of concern in their prismatic features. Captain Chen, the Meridian commander's translated voice, carried a mix of resignation and urgency. I am Captain Siddle. We may have a situation that transcends our previous disagreement. Chen raised an eyebrow. The unknown signatures. You've seen them before. Yes. Sill's crystalline form shifted uncomfortably. They are the reason we were testing your species' capabilities, though I now realize our approach was flawed. Diana's voice cut through the conversation. Alert. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Configuration matches swarm patterns. Chen saw the color drain from Sill's crystalline face at the word swarm. Care to fill us in, Captain Sill? They are called the Nexus, Sill explained quickly. A collective of autonomous combat units that evolve through combat. We encountered them 6 cycles ago. They learn from every battle, adapting their tactics and technology. We thought ourselves prepared for them, but our rigid battle protocols became predictable. They used our own strategies against us. As if on cue, the sensor readings exploded with activity. Hundreds of small craft dropped their cloaking fields, their black hulls absorbing light like cosmic predators preparing to strike. That's why you were testing us, Chen realized. You weren't just evaluating humanity. You were looking for species that might have different approaches to combat. Yes, Sill admitted, though your response to our test was unprecedented. Never in our tactical simulations did we consider a diplomatic vessel could be adapted into a weapon without actually being armed. Chen smiled grimly. That's because you're thinking like Meridians. You see rules and protocols. Humans, we see possibilities. Rodriguez, tactical analysis. The swarm is deploying in a perfect geometric pattern. Each unit's position calculated to maximize coverage and minimize vulnerabilities. It's beautiful in a terrifying way. Perfect is predictable, Chen mused. Captain Sill, I have a proposition for you. Your ship's crystalline structure. It can channel energy in specific patterns, correct? Yes, but I fail to see how that helps against the Nexus. They've already adapted to our defensive capabilities. Ah, but they haven't adapted to human chaos theory combined with Meridian precision. Chen's eyes lit up with the kind of inspiration that had her crew bracing for something either brilliant or insane. Usually both. Diana, send the Meridians the specifications for our gravitational array. Captain Sill, your ship's crystalline structure could amplify and redirect our gravity pulses. Instead of using it as a defense matrix, we can turn your entire ship into a quantum wave generator. That would violate at least 15 standard combat protocols. Sill protested, but Chen could hear the intrigue in their voice. Exactly. The Nexus learned to counter your protocols. But they've never faced an opponent who throws the rulebook out the airlock. The question is, Captain Sill, Are you willing to get a little crazy?" The Meridian captain was silent for a moment, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns as they processed this very un-Meridian approach. Finally, they spoke. "The protocols exist for a reason, Captain Chen. But perhaps that reason needs to be reevaluated in light of new evidence." "That's the spirit," Chen grinned. "Now, let me tell you about this little thing humans call improvisational combat. Rodriguez, show them where to modify their crystal lattice. Patel, get ready to coordinate our timing. Diana, calculate the resonance frequencies we'll need." As her crew rushed to prepare their unconventional defense, Chen watched the approaching swarm. They moved with perfect precision, each unit knowing its exact role in their grand strategy. They had learned to counter every standard tactic, every established protocol. But they had never faced humanity's greatest weapon, the ability to look at a rulebook and ask, what if we did something else entirely? The space between the ships began to warp as the Harmony's gravity slings powered up, while the Meridian vessel's crystal structure started to pulse with previously untapped possibilities. They had minutes at most before the swarm reached them. It was time to show the galaxy's perfect killing machines why fighting humans meant expecting the unexpected. The Nexus swarm approached in perfect formation, their black hulls forming shifting geometric patterns that would have been beautiful if they weren't so lethal. Captain Chen watched as the final modifications to their improvised defense system fell into place. "Meridian crystal lattice is aligned," Rodriguez reported. "Their energy signature is, well, it's unlike anything I've ever seen." On the shared tactical display, the Meridian ship's crystalline structure pulsed with complex patterns of light. Captain Sill had taken Chen's crazy idea and improved upon it, using their deep understanding of crystal harmonics to create something entirely new. "The swarm is analyzing our modifications," Diana announced. "Their attack patterns are shifting. They recognize the Meridian crystal configuration, but seem confused by our gravitational array." Chen smiled. "Good. Confusion means they're learning. And while they're learning, they're not attacking. Captain Sill, are you ready to do something absolutely insane by Meridian standards?" The crystalline captain's image flickered on the screen. "We have removed 14 safety protocols and reprogrammed our crystal matrix against every regulation in our tactical manual. I believe that qualifies as insane by any species standards." "That's the spirit. Diana, initiate the quantum resonance sequence. Rodriguez, prepare to fire the gravity slings in random pattern delta. Patel, blast the flight of the Valkyries on all frequencies." "Though what?" Phil asked, their crystalline form shifting in confusion. "Classical music," Chen explained. "Humans find it inspiring during battle. Plus, it'll give the swarm more chaos to analyze. Trust me." As Wagner's iconic composition echoed through space, the Harmony's gravity slings began firing in seemingly random patterns. Each pulse was caught and amplified by the Meridian ship's modified crystal structure, creating a cascade of gravitational distortions that ripple through space. The swarm's perfect formation wavered as their units tried to compensate for the unpredictable gravitational waves. Their adaptive algorithms struggled to find patterns in the chaos, but there were none to find. Each pulse was guided by human intuition rather than mathematical precision. "They're splitting into smaller groups," Rodriguez reported, "trying to surround us while maintaining minimal exposure to the gravity waves." "Now for the really fun part," Chen announced. "Diana, execute Protocol Pandemonium." The Harmony's hull patterns, which had been quietly gathering ambient energy during the battle, suddenly flared to life. The ship began broadcasting a complex series of electromagnetic pulses, each one precisely calibrated to interact with the Meridian crystal harmonics in unique ways. Space itself seemed to dance as gravity waves and crystal amplified energy pulses combined in ways that defied conventional physics. The swarm's smaller formations found themselves caught in pocket universes of warped space-time, their perfect coordination shattered by forces they couldn't predict or adapt to. This is impossible, Sil breathed, watching as their ship's crystal structure channeled energies in ways its designers had never imagined. We're violating at least 20 laws of physics. Nah, Chen replied with a grin. We're just interpreting them more creatively. Rodriguez, status of the swarm. Their adaptive algorithms are going haywire. Each unit is receiving conflicting data from the gravity waves and crystal harmonics. They can't establish a baseline for learning, because everything we're doing defies their logic. The swarm's units began firing wildly, their weapons passing harmlessly through the distorted space around the Allied ships. Some units crashed into each other as their navigation systems failed to compensate for the chaotic gravitational environment. Others simply shut down, their processors overwhelmed by data that contradicted their fundamental programming. Captain Chen. Sil called out, their voice carrying an unfamiliar tone that might have been excitement. Our crystal matrix is picking up something extraordinary. The quantum resonance between our ships, it's creating a cascading effect. We could potentially turn their own perfect coordination against them. Chen finished. Diana, calculate the harmonic convergence point. Captain Sil, prepare to channel everything you've got into one final pulse. Let's show them what happens when meridian precision meets human chaos. As the swarm struggled to regroup, the two ships began moving in concert. The Harmony's gravity slings spun up to maximum power, while the Meridian vessel's crystal structure blazed like a newborn star. Wagner's music reached its crescendo as Chen gave the order that would be remembered in both human and Meridian military academies for generations. Let's make physics cry. The combined energy pulse from the UES Harmony and the Meridian vessel lit up space like an artificial supernova. The carefully calculated quantum resonance, amplified by crystalline harmonics and shaped by gravitational waves, created a cascade of effects that no simulator could have predicted. Energy convergence in 3, 2, 1. Diana announced, her usual calm voice carrying a hint of anticipation. The swarm never had a chance to adapt. Their perfect formations, designed to counter any logical attack, were caught in the reality-bending wave of chaos. Each unit's adaptive algorithms tried to compensate, but they were attempting to solve an equation where the variables kept changing. Their quantum processors are locked in a feedback loop, Rodriguez reported, watching in amazement as the deadly swarm began to fall apart. They're trying to adapt to our attack pattern, but there is no pattern. They're getting a taste of pure human chaos, filtered through meridian precision. Chen finished. How's it feel to break physics, Captain Sil? The Meridian captain's crystalline form sparkled with what might have been laughter. I believe, Captain Chen, that we haven't broken physics so much as expanded its possibilities. Though our science directory may disagree, the space around them gradually settled as the quantum resonance began to fade. Where the dreaded swarm had been, now floated clusters of dormant units, their adaptive systems completely overwhelmed by an attack that defied their fundamental understanding of how combat should work. Diana, analysis of remaining swarm units. Chen asked. 97% of units have entered emergency shutdown. Their core programming appears to have suffered a fatal logic error when trying to adapt to our combined attack. The remaining 3% are trapped in localized time distortions. They should drift into normal spacetime within a few hours. Captain Chen. Sil's voice had taken on a formal tone. I believe I owe you and your crew an apology. We came to test humanity's readiness for space combat, operating under the assumption that our methods were superior. Instead, you have taught us a valuable lesson about the dangers of rigid thinking. Chen smiled. And you've taught us that sometimes the best way to break rules is with precise calculations. I'd say this marks the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Indeed. Sil's form shifted in what Chen was learning to recognize as amusement. Though I must ask, was the music really necessary? Absolutely not, Chen laughed. But it made the whole thing more fun, didn't it? The next few hours were spent securing the disabled swarm units and establishing proper diplomatic channels between their species. As Chen wrote her report for Earth Command, she couldn't help but reflect on the irony of the situation. The Meridians had come to test humanity's worthiness as a spacefaring species, but in the end, both civilizations had discovered something more valuable than military superiority. Captain, Diana interrupted her thoughts. The Meridian Science Directory is requesting our data on the gravitational array modifications. They're particularly interested in how we calculated the chaos factors in our attack. Chen grinned. Tell them it was a combination of advanced mathematics, precise engineering, and that uniquely human talent for looking at the impossible and saying why not. Rodriguez spoke up from his station. We're already getting requests from both human and Meridian military academies. They want to know how we developed our tactics. Tell them the truth, Chen said. We looked at everything we were supposed to do, everything that made logical sense, everything that followed proper protocol. And then we did something else entirely. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most logical one. It's the one your enemy would never expect because it's just crazy enough to work. As the Harmony and the Meridian vessel prepared to escort each other to the nearest diplomatic station, Chen received one final message from Captain Sill. Our tactical analysts have reviewed the battle data. They say our combined attack violated 37 known laws of physics, broke every combat protocol in our database, and defied all conventional logic. In short, it was perfectly human. We look forward to learning more of your methods, even if they give our protocol officers headaches. Chen's response was simple. Welcome to the galaxy, where humanity's greatest contribution might just be teaching everyone else how to think outside the box, by showing them that sometimes the box doesn't exist at all. In the years that followed, the battle of quantum chaos, as it came to be known, became required study at both human and Meridian military academies. But more than the tactical lessons, it taught both species a vital truth about the universe. In a cosmos full of infinite possibilities, the most powerful force wasn't technology, or precision, or even adaptive algorithms. It was the ability to look at the impossible and ask, what if? And that was something humans had been doing since they first looked up at the stars and dreamed of touching them.